Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is December 9th, 2022, and I'm your festive co-host, Thefatwizard, joined today by
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And as you can see, we are all wearing our ugly Christmas sweaters like we all planned. So thank both of you for participating, because we have a very nice background here. So very happy to be here, drinking eggnog and next to the fire with you all. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So we're taking a look at The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and this is on the Game Boy. So excited because this is the very first Game Boy game we are covering, and this was released in North America August 6th, 1993. There are a bunch of different revisions, so maybe we kind of go around the room and talk about which revision we played to cover. Alamaxi, do you want to start with you?
Yeah, I played through this on the Switch. I have beaten it on Game Boy long ago, but I played through it on the Switch this time. My daughter was watching me. She had a lot of fun watching me play, and I really love this game. It's so good. It's so good. The story is so great.
Yep. I played the DX version, which was
Game Boy DX, right? Or was it Game Boy Advance, or which one?
No, it wasn't on Game Boy Advance. It was just...
Or Color.
It was on Game Boy Color. I think you could still play it on regular Game Boy. I could be wrong about that, but
okay.
Added a couple more colors and then an extra dungeon called the Color Dungeon.
Oh, nice. Did they do anything with colors for mechanics
Yes,
there?
they did. Yes, they did.
Nice. So I played through this. Obviously, we're watching my playthrough here. I named my character SMG, and don't let the game lie to you, because that is what my character is named. You see something different? So I'm playing on the Game Boy, the original Game Boy version. It's actually going through the Super Game Boy, so there may be like small little inconsistencies. And then I actually did have the Switch version. I made it all the way up to the 6th shrine, face shrine, just to kind of see like, hey, what is it like? So it's very cool. We got a breadth of different games here to kind of cover and talk about differences. But Alamaxia, I know, Zelda is so close to your heart. So why don't you get us started in talking about, like, where we start off with Zelda this adventure?
So, Link, having saved Hyrule in the Link to the Past, had sailed off for training where the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons happened. And after his training, he was sailing back to Hyrule when a storm struck and knocked his boat, capsized his boat, knocked him off, and he woke up on the island of Koholint, where a little girl named Marin saw him and took him back to Mabe Village, where Link was given a shield, and he was told by this owl, "Hey, you need to go wake the windfish." And at this point, it's like, what?
That is the windfish. And by the way, thank you for correcting me. I always refer to Link as Zelda. Common mistake, I'm sure. I think that his shield has his name on it.
Yep.
And then you go down south to the desert, or not the desert, like the ocean, beach, where the beach, and you find a sword and it's got your name on it. And I'm really glad they went with the option of, like, this isn't an amnesiac Link, because he looks at a sword, he's like, hey, that's my name. So, no like fish out of water stories going on here.
Fish.
Yeah. Now I was really curious. I was like, all right, windfish, is that something I'm unfamiliar with? And I could not find anything on the internet that's like, oh, the windfish is a mythological whatever. It just seems like it was created for this game. So unless anyone knows otherwise, I think this is unique just to this game.
Pretty sure it's unique. I haven't heard of it in any other context.
Yeah. Because it's pretty abstract, especially, like, I guess I'm trying to think about, Zelda games prior to this, and I'm coming up with a blank on anything that's really abstract, and this windfish definitely is. So,
the whole game is abstract. It's kind of,
we're gonna.
So from my knowledge, this was originally supposed to be like a test to see if they could put Link to the Past on the Game Boy or something similar. So that's why there's so many similarities to it. And yeah, I mean, it's a whole own thing, but there are a lot of references. In fact, here you're getting the toadstool from the witch, and this and that. You just see it all over the place.
A lot of Mario references, right?
Yeah, that too.
A lot of Mario references. even some of the same enemies.
I mean, Terran looks
we'll
like
see.
Mario, so.
Yes, yeah. And we'll see what looks to be like Princess Peach later on.
Absolutely.
So this game is interesting because it's structured such that there's 8 dungeons, and before you can get to any of the dungeon, you need to find the key to the dungeon, and the key can be as simple as doing some fetch quests, or I think one of the other keys is like returning a ghost back to his home. So they're very varied in what they do. But what is interesting is you think about more modern Zelda games, they'll have these fetch quests that are, or I guess they're delivery quests, right? Where you pick up, I got a box, and I bring the box over here, and I get a leaf,
trading
and
quest.
I take that leaf somewhere else. Yeah, trading quest. Yeah. This is actually necessary for this game. You have to see that whole trading quest through to actually beat the game.
And if you miss a step, or if you didn't read a dialogue right, it can be a bit tricky to get to right yourself.
Yeah. Now, you do have an in-game hint system, right?
Ooh, you're right.
Which is very creatively placed. Who wants to talk about the hint system here? Because I think it's pretty cute.
Go ahead,
I haven't
Lobos.
touched it in a million years.
You haven't touched
What?
it?
Oh,
okay.
I used
you're an expert.
Ulrira once on this playthrough, and it didn't help. So
Yeah, it's not always the best, but yeah.
I did find them helpful quite a few times because, sometimes I would miss dialogue because I have a 6-year-old next to me watching, and I'd be like, where do I need to go? I completely missed. So I would go, call Ulrira. You go into this tree that has a picture of a phone on the front of it, like your old little black phone where you pull the receiver. What is it?
Like a rotary?
Yeah, the rotary phone. God, I couldn't think of the name. But yeah, so you call Ulrira up. He's like the old man of the town, and he gives you a hint. And the hint is always directed to what you need to do next. So it keeps itself up to date, and it does tell you what you need to do, but sometimes it can be a bit of a riddle.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit about where we went. So first thing we had to do is we have to go to the mysterious forest. You got to pick up a mushroom because there's a little raccoon. This raccoon won't let you get by the place where he is. And so you need to get this mushroom, bring us over to the witch. The witch gives you some powder, and you throw the powder on the raccoon. Man, this game is really long, it seems like. You take the powder, you throw on the raccoon, he sneezes, and now you can get by and get the first key, right? And then you can go into the first dungeon.
Well, the raccoon was actually Terran, who had gotten transformed by the forest.
Because he ate a funny mushroom.
He ate a mushroom.
That's how it goes. But you can also bypass the whole witch thing by just winning magic powder at the crane game that we were just looking at.
Yes.
Which I did. So it's,
You do have to go get to the crane game to start the whole fetch quest. There's a little Yoshi in that area, and there's a family that wants a Ryoshi, and then you can get a little ribbon. And so that will become useful here. And I just wanted to mention, we were in Dungeon 1 prior in the video, and then we made a little pit stop because we just saw some enemies I needed to kill, and the way you kill them, they're like little beetles, hard shells on them, and you have to flip them with your shield. Well, unfortunately, I don't know what they call them, but this looks like a walking stack of pancakes.
The like.
Yes. If they eat you, at least on the Game Boy version, they will eat your shield. So I had no shield at that time. I had to go purchase one.
You have to kill them fast enough after they spit you out.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't kill them, then your shield is gone.
And you know what was funny is I was very scared of these in Link's Link to the Past. Because I was trained that likes would eat your shield, but I don't think they eat your shield in Link to the Past.
Oh, they do.
Oh, they do?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
But they'll eat your red shield because you can go and buy that one.
Yeah, right.
Well, we've kind of blazed through this dungeon. It's pretty quick, but now we're fighting our first mini-boss. Every dungeon has a little mini-boss. This one's kind of cute. Alamaxia, do you want to quickly walk us through how you beat this? Oh, and the item that we picked up in this dungeon.
Yeah, so we had picked up a feather, which is used to make Link jump, which is really interesting that this is, the second time Link has been able to jump in a game, and won't be the last, but he doesn't often get to do that. But we have to use that feather to fight that boss we just, mini boss, Rolling Bones. He rolls a big spike log across the room. You just gotta jump over the log with your feather, and whack him, hit him until, goes to the other side, and he rolls it back, and you jump over it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple.
Yeah. Many of these enemies, you can not necessarily stun lock them, but get them in a pattern where you can keep hitting them over and over and over. And a lot of those were fixed in the Switch version.
Oh, really?
But at least in the Game Boy, it's like you just sit there and just wallop on them. Now, I will say the little feather you get looks suspiciously like a raccoon feather from Mario 3. So references, we're going to call them out.
We didn't really talk about how the equipment works, but I think it's really cool because you can actually unequip your sword. You have two buttons. You got A and B, Game Boy, of course, and you can, in any order, assign an item, and then you can use them together in kind of interesting ways. So, so you can put, if you prefer to have sword attack on one button or the other, you can choose to do that.
Or if you want to walk around with, powder and a feather, you can do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be effective.
Do you want to talk about your little strat with the bows that you told me about on your stream, Lobos?
Alamaxia, do you know about bomb arrows?
I do not.
Oh, okay. If you equip bombs and arrows, and then you hit both buttons, but with the bomb slightly before, you do like a ta-ta kind of thing, it will actually attach a bomb to an arrow and shoot it. And it's incredibly effective. It's bomb damage. Yep. Mm-hmm.
What?
Explodes on impact. I don't know how I knew this as a kid, maybe Nintendo Power or something, but I knew this. And
does it let you explode, open up cracked walls in the other side of a room?
Anything that a bomb could do.
Oh my gosh. So cool.
I will say that I actually tested that I didn't know this on the Game Boy, but I tested this on the Switch to see if it was still there. It still is.
What?
I actually used it the other night, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
I used it to blow up a block that was kind of far away. Well, we got some orders to go to the swamp, but before we go to the swamp, our poor dog, well, I guess it's not our dog, but a villager's dog, Bow Wow. It's not it's a chain, what is it, chain chomp,
yeah.
It's a chain chomp.
Yeah. And
Bow Wow.
Madame Meow Meow? I just realized.
Something like that.
Yeah, Madame Meow Meow's dog, Bow Wow.
What are we talking about here?
Stolen by the Moblins.
So interesting little piece of trivia here with Bow Wow's name is that in the Japanese game and also in Mario Japanese, the same character's name is Wan, which is a Japanese onomatopoeia for a barking sound.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
there you go.
That's cool.
Nice.
So that's why you have that thing. Ruff, ruff.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Perfect. And Bow Wow. Well, I was gonna say that, you take Bow Wow. You find Bow Wow by fighting the Moblins, rescue him, and then he's kind of chained to you, and you're dragging him around. And
taking him on a walk.
He's OP. He will eat anything and everything in one bite.
He also tells you where seashells are on the ground.
Yeah.
If you walk, I think it's if you walk over the spot where the seashell is, he'll say, dig here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, unfortunately, you have to give him up before you can get to Dungeon 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's really sad because he's very useful, and I was really wondering, can you get him back? But I don't know why they gave you that really cool ability and they just said you can't really use it for most of the game.
Well, he is pretty OP. I mean, he's one-shots everything, and they want you to do a little bit of searching. I think you get away later to find the seashells easier and stuff.
I don't think you can get them later, but he teaches you how you can find seashells, because otherwise it's really obscure.
Yeah.
Wait, how does he teach you that?
Well, because he clues you, and you're like, this area has a seashell.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Teaches you how to dig in general for seashells.
There's patterns you can look for on the ground when you're digging for seashells. It's like the Bow Wow, he can kind of show you those a couple of times before you have to give them up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we just found we're in Dungeon 2 and we just found the power bracelet. So now we can pick up those pots and smash them. And we're using this in this dungeon to there's these little orbs or crystal balls or whatever, and those flip the barriers. So there's a bunch of barriers, and that you can either have the down position or the up position, and so like it'll swap between the two. So you'll put one set of barriers down, but then the other one will be up. And so this is something that is used quite heavily throughout some of the later dungeons here. But
I like this physics puzzle here.
You're right. Yeah. So we after doing a little bit of flipping and switching, we went into a little underground area, and the first little elevator down, it's Link is heavy enough that it goes down on itself, but the second time it's not, and so you have to pick up a little a little pot and then hold it over your head to get down. I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now I thought it was really fun when you do go to those underground areas like the stairs. You're not just teleporting from one stair to the next. The game goes to a side-scrolling 2D. Yeah, it's almost in a way like a little mini platformer you have to go through to get to the next area whenever you go through the stairs. It's fun. It's a neat way that they mix the different perspectives of the game.
Mm-hmm. All right, and here we are at the boss of the dungeon here. This is a little genie guy in a bottle who wants to walk us through. This is kind of a crazy fight, right?
Yeah, I like the fights in these games. Pretty much everyone is a gimmick, and you have to kind of
very puzzle-ish.
Yeah,
right?
very puzzle bosses. And he's in his genie lamp or bottle or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm safe as long as I'm in my bottle. And he pops out and he throws a bunch of fireballs. You can't really hit him, hurt him. The bottle doesn't get hurt or anything. And he'll throw fireballs at you. Then he jumps into his bottle and starts bouncing at you. But you can hit the bottle, if I recall correctly, with the sword. Then he kind of sits there planted, but you can pick him up and throw him against the wall. And then he goes, and that's your cue that you're doing it right. So you do that enough, and then he breaks out, and he's like, you broke my bottle. And then you can actually hit him with a sword, and he kind of teleports around, and the end.
The end. Oh, and my character just met his end as well. So, I tried to steal. I tried to steal from the shopkeeper, and you can steal, but if you come back, he kills you, and your save file is permanently named Thief.
Yep.
You thief.
Yep. But he doesn't take the goods back, so if you're already a thief, just lean into it, right? So
you can only steal once, by the way, and I wasted it on some stupid bombs that were only 10
That
rupees.
is not true.
And you even had enough rupees to buy them.
You can steal. Best part. Hey, you can steal as much as you want. I stole the shovel. I stole the bow. I steal ammo. I steal everything I need, just constantly.
Note to self: Lobos steals everything.
I'm a huge thief. I've never completed this game without being thief because why? Why? Who cares? It's all no spoilers. Never mind.
Hey, I know that Lobos, you have a special fondness for Kiki here, right?
Kiki the monkey, yeah. Always.
We just gave Kiki some bananas because we are now on to, is it the third dungeon? I'm getting my dungeons out.
Slime.
Yeah, so we're on to dungeon number 3. Yep, but first we need to go over to this castle and find actually 5 golden leaves here. Alamaxia, you had to kind of help me out with one of them, so I'm going to give you the honors of talking about how you find these golden leaves.
So we are at Canalet Castle, and the leaves are really obscurely hidden about the castle. For one of them, you have to kill this mole guy that's in this area. There's like 5 holes in the ground. He'll pop up, and you gotta just kill him. It's kind of like a mini boss. Another one, you gotta throw a rock at a crow that for whatever reason doesn't attack you. That's kind of like your hint that it's special. Then it scares the crow, and you kill it, and then you get another leaf. Then there's a room where you kill enough enemies. You kill all the enemies in a room, you get a leaf. Here we're fighting a little mini boss that's really reminiscent of Link to the Past's first little mini boss. Is a chain or ball and chain that he swings around and throws. And then the last one here, you have to bomb open these little statue walls, and one of the guards will come out. And if you get the right guard, he'll drop the leaf. And we'll have all 5 to take back to this guy, Richard?
Yeah.
Yes, Richard.
Richard.
And I had troubles with the bomb one, and they changed that in the Switch version. They make them cracks, so it's like, obviously you can bomb it here. But yeah, I didn't even think. I thought they were just statues. I didn't even think to bomb it there, so a little tricky there.
Mm-hmm.
But he gives you the ability to go get the slime key, in which, by the way, you do need the shovel to be able to pick that slime key up. And then we can go into dungeon number 3, which is really great. It's also kind of a pain that when you open it up, you can't go directly into it.
Yeah.
You have to go like all this long way around to get. It's really weird. I'm not sure why they do that. Maybe they want you to have to jump over here.
In a few places where they're like, here's where you put in the key. Now you walk all the way around, and there's the door.
It's maximizing the game that they had to work with, and we see a lot where we get one thing, and they say, "All right, you need this," which is on the literal other side of the world, and then you got to go back again, and it's a lot of back and forth of you're just traveling the world a lot. And I feel like it was because it's a Game Boy game. They only had so much to work with.
In this dungeon, we just saw these little, I don't know what they call them, like little toucan Sam dudes. And I'll say they seem a lot harder to kill on the Switch. I'll give you that. But the way that they work is when you get close to them, they will teleport over to the last location they were at. And so you have to, the way I beat them is predicted where they would go. And so when I saw them start to teleport, I'd run over there. You might be able to also use bombs. Anyone have a good strategy for killing them?
I used arrows because I stole the bow like a thief and had all the arrows I could ever want. They don't even try to dodge the arrows, so easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Alamaxia, what was yours? Oh, Alamaxia, what was your strategy on that?
Sorry, I lost train of thought.
Oh, no worries.
For those, it was, I did have to do the predict method. I did try the bombs, and I was like, I need the bombs. I can't spend them all on this because of the mini boss we're fighting here.
Yep.
But once we get the item from this dungeon, it does make those enemies a bit easier because they don't have time to, teleport away.
We just picked up some nice old Pegasus boots, and now we're getting to the point where we have a lot of cool little toys to play with, and a lot of the puzzles are now going to start opening up with these Pegasus boots because, as we're seeing right now, you can combine the Pegasus boots with the feather to do a long jump, and so that is pretty cool.
So cool.
I love that. Yeah, so cool to combine the just different items in different ways. And one thing regarding the bombs, I don't know if you guys knew, but if you put a bomb down and you press the bomb button again, you can actually pick it up, and then you can toss it. And
it turns off the timer on the bomb, so it's not going to keep.
Oh, does it? Oh, I didn't know that.
You know what was so fun? This is kind of a tangent here, but what's so fun about playing this on Game Boy and then playing it on the Switch is seeing how the increased fidelity of the graphics really made me understand what exactly the item or the thing in the world was. So for instance, the things that you can run into. So now that we have the Pegasus boots, there are these things that you have to run into to blow up, and they always look like gemstones
like
to
crystals,
me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like crystals. But no, it's a little bit different in the Switch version. It looks, I don't know, it looks more like a little tent or something like that. But yeah, it's really cool to see all these differences. It's really cool to see
I see what you did there.
We're fighting a boss, a giant eyeball, and the way that this one works is it starts off as just one singular eyeball, and then you can hit it a couple times, and it splits into two eyeballs, and there's a membrane connecting the two. Yeah. And of course, you got to use your bad boy Pegasus boots to go right in between and split those eyes in half.
I love that.
That's really cool.
And then they'll independently jump up and down and then try to stomp on you. But, again, pretty easy. You just flick them with your sword four times each, I think.
But also to note that at the beginning of the fight, it says, like, neener, you can't find me. And you're like, what the heck do I do? And there's no boss. And you have to bonk against the wall, and it, like, knocks it off the ceiling, which is a pretty cool idea.
I love that. Yeah, you can't do anything to the boss until you think... I don't know if there's any escalating hints there, if he keeps saying that, or if you don't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
there are little slimes I think drop down from the ceiling, so that might be a little clue.
I have no idea.
Anyway, we're in the animal village now. Who's got the hot tips on the animal village?
It's a
walrus
village
here,
of animals.
right? Yeah.
The Village of Animals
There.
just want
Nailed it.
to hear someone sing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and do we have any singers that we know that could help us out here? Well, it's not going to be me. It's got to be someone in game here. So
That little boy outside of the Dream Shrine.
that little.
Oh my gosh.
You know what's funny? A lot of the times the little kids will give you hints, and they're like, "Don't ask me what it means. I'm just a little kid."
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a little area. Once you get the power bracelet, you can open up this area that is the Dream Shrine, and there's a little bed here. And you can go here before the Pegasus boots, but you really need to come here after you get the Pegasus boots, because in here is the Ocarina. And folks, please fact check me, but I think this is the first game that the Ocarina is mentioned by name. Am I right?
It is the flute.
Ooh, is it?
In Link to the Past?
Ooh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't fact check myself, so I'm going on the whim. I'm putting that into the
something
world.
flute, but it's definitely not Ocarina. So yeah.
Don't make me get this book out.
Uh-oh. I think it's just called the flute in Link to the Past.
Yeah. Well, we have a nice little interlude here where we get to meet up in a kind of a private setting with Marin.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Marin or Marine? I don't know.
I always said Marin.
Okay. Well, she is going to serenade this walrus, but before she does that, we had a nice little sequence of them both staring out into the ocean, watching the seagulls, and kind of having a real heartfelt moment, expressing like what she would do. She wants to go out there and explore the world or stuff like that.
And fly off.
Yeah, be a bird, which is all the more sad when you realize the true nature of the story.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just put that off to the side for now.
Yes.
We got the walrus out of the way, and Marin is actually going to teach us. You can go back to her because she goes to the animal village and sings for the animals, and you can learn your very first song.
Yeah.
The
Ballad
that
Ballad of the Windfish.
The Windfish, yeah.
Mhm.
Which I think the only thing you use it for is actually awakening the Windfish. I can't remember if there's another.
I believe so.
Usage
Other
of
than
it.
jamming with her, because you can jam with her. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And then we are told that we now need to go to the desert. Oh, we already knew we had to go to the desert, but now we're in the desert. And a little mini boss here to get a key. One of the things I found interesting about this is when you kill the boss, there's this quicksand, and this quicksand is trying to pull you in to the center of the screen. And when you pick it up, the key, you hold the key to your hands, but the quicksand doesn't stop from pulling you in. So I think it's intentional that it's going to pull you into these underground, and you just kind of fight your way out a little bit.
Yeah, because if you don't grab the key quick enough, the key will fall down into the room. It gets sucked out into the quicksand, so you have to chase it down there.
Nice.
There's also these little dudes around the world. We just chatted with one of them. They're maybe signposts or something.
Owl statues.
They're owl statues, yeah.
Oh, that's what those are. Okay. And they kind of give some cryptic hints. Some of them are more direct.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's one that says, like, look under your feet, dummy. Or
dig something
here.
Real
Basically
obvious.
that, right?
But then
But
others
this
are
one
like,
was cool.
Yeah, they're like prophetic almost.
Yeah, it was said something like dreams and waves end in the same way, crash or something like that.
That's one. Yeah, that's part of it. Like sea
Yeah,
bears
that's a cool
and
one.
sea foam, whatever. Yeah, and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? But yeah, we haven't had an update on the trade game in a while.
Yeah, walk us through what's going on here.
We had the bow after we gave the Yoshi. We gave the bow to Madame Meow Meow's smaller pet dog.
Yeah, little baby Bow Wow.
Who gives you dog food, who you give to the crocodile man at the beach, who gives you bananas, who you give to Kiki, which we talked about. He builds a bridge for you. He leaves behind a stick, which you give to Terran to knock down a honeycomb, and he gets chased off by bees, and he leaves the honeycomb, who you give to the bear. The bear gives you a pineapple, and the pineapple you give to a man in the Tal Heights because he's famished from hiking, and then he gives you the hibiscus flower, which you're taking now to Mrs. Goat in the animal village. Yeah, who gives you A picture to take?
A letter.
A letter. Yeah, that's
to Miss
right.
Yeah.
A letter you take to Mr. Wright, who's somebody you probably found way earlier, who's just he's a pen pal guy, and he's like, oh. And you bring him a letter from Mrs. Goat and a picture of quote unquote her, and it's definitely not Princess Peach in any respect.
It's labeled as Christine, right?
Yeah, Christine. Christine the Goat is really playing him though, but
Now, in that trading sequence, there was one thing in there that always confused me when I was younger. Is that guy in the mountains? He's like, I need vittles.
Oh yeah.
And when you didn't have the pineapple, it's like, what?
That was where I learned the word vittles. Yeah. Thank you, video games.
By the way, I just want for everyone watching, for everyone listening, just take a moment to just give Lobos a round of applause for just knocking that out of the park. Like bang, bang, bang. Here's all the trading things, and you can have a little bit of a breath now because we got a broom from Mr. Wright, and we can't use that broom for a little bit. So you're off the hook for now. Go get a drink.
Very good, very good. I did just now. But we're in.
Where are we now? Dungeon 4, Dungeon 5?
4. Oh, we've got.
Oh, this is the one. Yeah, this is we got the angler key, I believe.
We're in Angler's Tunnel.
Yeah, and this one's a little tricky. I think this one, because you have to go up into Telltale Heights, you have to go down to this water you can wade in. You can't swim in water yet. We'll get that in this dungeon. But there's water you can wade in, and then you can drop down into the area with the dungeon. So it's a little tricky to get there. But yeah, we're now in here. And this dungeon has tons of water that they really want you to dive or at least be able to cross there. So kind of hamstrung until we get some flippers.
The infamous water dungeons.
Infamous water, yeah. One thing we didn't notice or mention rather is something you've got active right now is that there are 2 power-ups in this game you can acquire. One is a Guardian Acorn, which I think halves your damage for like 3 hits, and the other is a Piece of Power, which doubles the damage that you deal for until you get hit a certain amount of time or like exit a major area, kind of go out to the overworld or into a dungeon. But it does have the downside of changing the music to this kind of repetitive, almost like star music from Mario. Yeah.
I saw you reset your game just to get rid of it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I did do that at one point. I just saved and quit and loaded back in. I was like, good. Well, because the music in this game and the sound in general, I love the Game Boy sound chip. There's a lot of very heavy-hitting bass kind of sounds, and I love it. And so to take that away from the experiences is a travesty. Travesty, really.
Now, I did a little bit of a sequence skip. We'll skip this mini boss because it's not super interesting. But this is or is this the boss?
No, this is the mini boss.
This is the mini boss.
This is the mini boss. So there's a bunch of glints on the floor, and you're supposed to hit them in a certain sequence. And they are positioned such that you really need, or they want you to have the flippers to be able to hit it.
Right.
But you can use the Pegasus boots plus the jump, the feather, to actually jump far enough to land on the little spot instead of needing to swim there. And I find that really interesting that in the Switch version, they fixed that.
Oh.
So very cool to see some subtle changes there.
There are still a lot of sequence breaks you can do in this game because your jump is not just bound to the 4 cardinal directions. You can go diagonally, and there's some places where it's like, if I jump diagonally, I can get over to that spot that I normally would need to go from the other side. Well, just make your diagonal jump.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And then Lobos, he's got some rooster skips, right? That you're showing off.
I don't remember exactly. Rooster skips.
Yeah. Well, I think you can skip through a bunch of enemies and kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean you can fly over things, and there's a couple spots that you can only access when you have the rooster later. But anyways, we got the flippers, and I really like the mechanic that they add in this, where you're swimming, but then if you press B, you'll dive, and Link will kind of he'll go underwater. You can see his shadow, and you can avoid enemies this way. But also, some areas will be accessible when you dive. So, like, you dive, and then suddenly you enter a cave, and it's a whole new place. And there's some really cool things that they do with that.
You enter a cave, and suddenly a boss.
Yeah. Very unique because most of the bosses all the bosses up into this point, you would walk up into the room. There's the boss fight, but this one you kind of go down the stairs and then you are underwater. So very cool change of pace. We're getting our second song here. Anyone a big fan of Mambo?
Yes.
I think his name is
Mambo's Mambo. Do, 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 do.
And I love how his eyes like kind of roll around. Yeah, it's so
to
cute.
the beat. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's
I
so
love
good.
that song. Mambo's Mambo.
No,
Which-
I didn't find my ocarina until much, much, much later in the game, and I never went back and learned that song.
Oh, so that lets you teleport in the overworld. It'll teleport you to a specific spot, kind of northeast of Mabe Village, near the witch, kind of. Or
that would have been helpful.
that would have. Or if you're in a dungeon, it will take you to the beginning of the dungeon. So pretty handy for some movement options. But you can also save and quit in the game just to put yourself at the beginning of the dungeon, so a little faster.
Well, I think the Switch version is also a little easier because if you find a teleport spot, you can walk into it, and I think you can choose any teleport spot to go to, right?
Right. Yeah, and this game
But in
does
the
have teleporters.
Game Boy, yeah, the Game Boy, they do it in sequence, so you can't just pick where you want to go. You have to sometimes teleport like 3 or 4 times before you get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this dungeon number 5, has got a little gimmick with the mini boss here.
Yeah.
Anyone know this character's name?
Stalfos.
Yeah, it's a Stalfos?
Yeah, okay. And you got to fight him like 4 times.
I always liked how they put a block in. They put blocks in the room based on like the order that you fight them. So like that had 1 block in the top left, and then the next room that you'll fight him will have 2 blocks, and then 3, and then 4, and then that's the ultimate final. But you'll see like the room has 3 blocks, and you haven't fought him yet, or maybe you haven't fought him the second time, and you're like, I need to come back for the 3rd time. But he's a traditional Stalfos. So you hit him with the sword, he crumples down into a pile of bones, and you have to drop a bomb on him to really damage him. So if you figure that out the first time, the next 3 fights are exactly the same.
Yeah, he doesn't get up very quickly, so you can drop that bomb and then start charging up your sword, and you can more or less get him into a pattern where he's not going to be able to attack. So pretty easy on that front here. And I think so we skipped the 3rd one just because it is literally the same fight. But I think the 4th one, we're going to find out, but I thought the 4th one was slightly different.
I know he takes like an extra hit or 2, but you can still, I still just stun locked him and never, he never did anything.
Okay, maybe he didn't do anything different, but he had actually after the first time you kill him, you go out into the chest, and when the chest opens, it says, "Ha ha! I stole it. Come find me." And after the 4th fight,
and his name,
hook shot.
he shines. I forgot he signs his name. It's like King Skull or something like that.
Master Stalfos.
Master. Well, yeah, it's just Master, and then it has a little skull icon. So I always called him Skull because of that.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways.
Master Bones.
And you get the hook shot, which
I love the hook
favorite
shot.
weapon, or
It's
favorite
real.
not weapon, but my favorite item in like all the Zelda games. I
it's a
love
great
the hook
weapon.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on this one we talked a little bit about the little owl things that give you hints about what to do. I think on this one it tells you to dive where the torches make a cross or line up or something like that. And so sure enough, you go into this little lake area, and if you dive, it has this effectively like a stairwell where there's a little mini section that brings you up, and then you can progress. And we are now at the mini boss. So I guess that the first one was sort of like a mini boss, and now we're at a mini boss. And honestly, they looked like spiders with French fries for legs.
They are gomas.
Like
Gomez. Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you remember,
French
Zelda
fries.
1
Spiders.
Zelda 1 had a
that as
boss
well.
that was a goma.
That's
Yeah.
true. I actually didn't fight those.
You don't have to,
Yeah.
You can skip through them.
And I didn't know you could kill him with the hook shot. I had to go back out and find arrows and come back in here and kill him.
Yeah, see, I didn't have arrows at this point, but this is a really fun fight. And also one of the ones I was most surprised with how they changed in the Switch version. So, Alamaxia, why don't you tell me, actually, since we're watching this, Lobos, you tell me, how you fight it, and then Alamaxia, you want to tell us how you fight it?
Yeah. So there's you start the fight, and the middle of the room it rumbles, and then out of the middle, in the center of the room, a big tail emerges out, and it's kind of flailing around the room rather predictably, but it takes up a lot of the real estate of the room, so you have to stick to the corners or the sides to avoid it. And then it chomps 4 holes out of the north and south walls, one kind of in each corner, and he'll kind of appear and do a bite, and if you are in the right spot, you can shoot your hook shot and pull him out of the wall, and he may extend his neck out, and then there's like a heart segment of his body. He's kind of like a centipede or another moldorm, and you can hit him in the heart. Or sometimes he comes all the way out, and then he'll like a worm. He'll wander around and then explode and kind of.
Yeah, you can't damage him when you pull him all the way.
Yeah,
out.
Correct. So there's a bit of I want to say it's just completely random which corner. And I got really trolled because I would be on the left side and he would be on the right side like 10 times in a row. So I'm like, all right. So I go to the right, and then he starts showing up on the left, and I'm just like, oh no. But yeah.
Alamaxia, does that match your experience at all?
It did. I used the feather a lot more in that fight to jump over the tail, but I didn't really notice anything different from that in the Switch.
So what I noticed was that because in the Game Boy, when you pull him out too far, he will come out and start attacking you. That did not happen for me in the Switch.
Oh, interesting.
Is he never? And I pulled him like straight out, and his heart was always there. So maybe I didn't pull him out far enough, but at least the leeway there, the grace period, was much larger there. And I was like, whoa, this is really different. I wasn't expecting this.
Interesting.
But yeah, it kind of reminds you of fishing, right? Because you're kind of like throwing a hook there and pulling them out.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. One thing we also still didn't mention was the fact that at the end of each dungeon, we are acquiring an instrument from each dungeon. And so far, what did we have? We had I think it's called the Full Moon Cello. We had
the sea conch is the only one I remember.
The sea conch. Yeah.
Some xylophone or
there's a marimba.
Like
it's marimba.
Wind marimba, surf harp,
probably some
conchorn.
drums.
The drums are later.
Yeah.
Full Moon Cello.
There's a keyboard kind of thing you get. You got the bell. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every time you get an instrument, it plays a little jingle for a couple seconds, and you're like, oh, that was nice. And then it teleports you out the dungeon, and you're on your way.
And you get maybe a vision or something.
Oh, yeah.
Your screen will turn white and kind of tell you where you need to go next.
Exactly.
So we are now... Oh, Lobos, do you want to finish up the trading sequence? Because we did finish it, and we got the item that we'll need to complete the game. But
okay,
so we started with the broom here.
We had the broom. We returned the broom to old lady grandma in Mabe Village because she's got leaves everywhere. You give her the broom. She gives us, what does she give us? Is it
a fish hook?
Oh, the fish
she
hook.
Swept up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, she said she swept it up when she was like,
gotcha. It's a big fish hook, but it looks big. Yeah. You go dive underneath a bridge. You find a fisherman that's a Link to the Past thing as well, diving under the bridge. And then he's like, I'll give you the next thing that I catch. And then he catches a necklace, which, to be fair, I wouldn't give that away. But you get a necklace, and there's a mermaid who's just kind of in the water. And if you go and talk to her, she says that she's missing her necklace. So you return her necklace. She says you can have a mermaid scale. You take the scale, you place it in the mermaid statue. And in the mermaid statue, it moves, and then it opens a dungeon, and you can acquire the magnifying lens or magnifying glass, which you can use to read a book in the library in Mabe Village entitled something Dark Mysterious Secrets of Koholint Island, and it gives you a directional kind of clue, and you're like, I don't know what that is, but we'll see. And that's the end of the trade puzzle.
I had forgotten that book existed because I remember when I first started playing, I read all the books, and then I remember one was like, "Hell, the text here is too small to read."
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I probably need something later, and I completely forgot.
Oh no. Yep.
Yeah. So I think the telephone guy, I don't remember his name, but the telephone guy kind of hinted. He's like, I think because near the end, there's a certain sequence of places or areas you need to go through. And he's like, hey, I'm not helping you out anymore. You go to the library. You want to figure it out? Go research it on your own. I thought that was cute. This one, so we're in a mini boss of dungeon number 6. I love this. This is a cute little guy. Cute. He's I don't know. He's weird. He's like a little Roomba with a ball on him, but he throws his big ball at you, and then you pick it up and
he's like a bumper car. He's got a little antenna thing, a better description, but he's just a little blob guy, and he's so cute. He makes a cute noise, but he does throw this huge ball at you, which hurts and can be annoying. But so you have to throw it at him.
Which, by the way, they're teaching you something very important, that ball is a thing you can pick up and throw.
Yes.
And I had forgotten about that, and that's going to come bite me in the next dungeon.
There's so many little physics-based things in this game that I never really started piecing it together, that it is a lot of just that physics. Like we're having to jump, we're having to throw things.
And they bounce and skate around. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. We did leave out the fact that you kind of head over to the bay, which is north of the desert, and the owl tells you that there's 2 face shrines, one south, one north. You go to the south one, you defeat a mini boss, and then there's a mural that you first are kind of clued in. It says something about how the Koholint Island is all just a dream, and one day it will disappear, and you're like, what is it going, what? And the face shrine music is very kind of eerie, almost like nostalgic, and you're like, oh, what's going on? And but you get the face shrine key, and then you head to the north face shrine, and that's the actual dungeon, and that's where we are now, just kind of making our way through.
Yeah, and we picked up the level 2 power bracelet, right? Just did, and now we can pick up these really big statues.
Yeah,
which is great. And now that you see that, you got an L2 on your bracelet. Oh, but that poor sword has an L1. So what's that all about? Did you both pick up the upgraded sword?
I did not.
I do at the very end.
So I didn't, but the color dungeon, as a reward when you complete it, you can choose to either take double damage on your sword or half damage. And it's a tunic. So you actually wear a tunic the whole game.
Oh.
Yeah, so you choose a red or blue. The whole dungeon is kind of red or blue themed. And you can access it anytime, I think, once you get the power bracelet. So it's pretty powerful if you get that, the sword early. Like,
I should find that dungeon because I have not. Is there any clues on how to get to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's another clue. I won't spoil it, but
I'll look around there. So, well, this is, what did we call this dungeon? The face dungeon?
Face shrine.
Face shrine. Yep. I can't imagine why. Anyone picking up any clues here?
The boss is a face. That's it.
Oh,
that's it.
That's it.
After all this
time, something.
Yes, the boss is a face.
It's such a weird boss.
It is a weird boss. And he's like, Nya, you can't hurt me. And the face is, it's just a face. There's eyes and a mouth. And it looks kind of almost like an alien just popping into view in the middle of the screen. He doesn't actually do anything, but there are tiles that fly around and eventually holes open in the ground. And you're just like, you can't hit him with your sword. And all you do is you just drop a bomb on him. And he kind of winces, disappears, and then comes back. And then you just keep bombing him that way until he dies. So not too tough, but, still one of those gimmicks you got to figure out.
And I think we get the triangle from that one. And then, of course, with that L2 bracelet, we can now move the rooster statue in, is it Mabe Village?
Mabe Village, yep.
Mabe Village. And there is a dead rooster under there. So
there's a dead rooster.
A little weird. But, it's a good thing that Link is a renowned necromancer.
Yes, of course.
Now,
it's the Zora that's a necromancer. It just taught Link how to raise the dead.
Yes. Yeah, we did kind of skip that, but we did pick up a third song, and this was Was this in the area that has
the
the
sign
It was on the
puzzle
beach.
maze. The sign
the
maze.
sign puzzle? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
sign maze, yeah. I really liked that sign maze as a kid.
Yep.
I don't know why, I just did, but it's a very simple puzzle where you read a sign and it'll say, now go this way, and it'll point an arrow, and you just, along the same kind of axis, you follow where that would go, and then once you hit another sign, you read that sign, and you have to read them all in order, and there's like 12 of them or something. Opens a downward stairs, and there's a heckin' garage band of frogs down there. And I must admit that the song is kind of dissonant and that doesn't sound very good to me. And I kind of gave that impression of like, these frogs are just down here isolated jamming, and they don't know how bad they sound, but they're super proud of themselves. So you're like, okay, whatever. But for some reason, it's a song that can bring things back to life. And so you do that, and that's how you wake the rooster. The rooster is a companion you can carry, and you just pick it up and you fly infinitely, and you can move around the screen. You can cross all sorts of gaps. You can't screen transition, though, but still, it gets you access to where you need to go to acquire the Eagle Tower key and ultimately the Eagle Tower.
Can I use that rooster to just fly over the Eagle Tower and skip it? Because
oh boy,
this is the worst dungeon in the world. Now, I will say I'm genuinely confused because there are some people, and I think Alamaxia might be one of them, that's like, I love this dungeon. And I'm like, I don't want to ever play this game again because this dungeon exists.
I really like the idea of the dungeon, but the execution of it is, it's nasty. It's oof.
I like it because I don't know the exact path through it, but I feel like this is one of those dungeons that if you know the path, it's a quick, easy, nice dungeon.
Oh yeah.
but this is
Probably.
one that if you make one mistake, like the ball you have to carry around to knock over these pillars to make effectively change the dungeon, it makes an entire level crumple down. If you miss one of those, like you accidentally take it too far and you have to backtrack it, it is a pain to get it back where you need to go. But we have not had a dungeon like that really much in this game. Everything's been, I feel like, pretty straightforward. This is the first one that really made you really think.
Yep. Well, it's also complicated by there's a couple situations where there's the orbs that you hit that will lower and raise the barrier. So sometimes you're like, I got to go over there. Oh, the barrier's up,
the
and then I
peg
got to go all the
walls.
way around and flip the barrier down.
Yeah.
We're blowing through this. Let's chat about the boss because I think this boss is actually pretty cool. So it's got the strats on this one.
We got an eagle at the top of this tower called Eagle's Tower.
Oh my god.
I wonder. But
you
no,
do- Well, I was going to say, you do fight a mini-boss in there, and he's like this little kind of wizard guy, and he spawns enemies to fight you, and then he runs away, and he's riding the eagle and kind of behind that the whole way. So
the Grim Creeper.
Grim Creeper, nice.
But so this eagle's attack.
Wait, is that really his name?
That is his name, the Grim Creeper.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
So the eagle, it has a few attacks. It'll throw a bunch of feathers at you that you can block with your shield. Not too bad. It'll also, give you a big gust of wind. They'll try to knock you off the edge, and if it knocks you off the edge, you got to climb back up. And I believe you effectively
Redo the
start
boss
the fight over.
Yep.
And then it'll do dive bomb attacks. And the only real time you can attack it is when it's doing the dive bomb. So it's kind of you got to time your hit. Wait for it to come in, time your hit.
Yep. This is a fight that I used the arrow bomb combo. Once I remembered how to do it again. But it's pretty good damage and works well for that.
I got some serious Mega Man vibes on that boss. I'm not sure what it was about it, but it just seemed like it. But yeah, we got a shield, a reflecting shield, and I don't feel like it really gets its due here. You don't get to really use it all that much,
It is used as a key, and it's handy for reflecting lasers, but lasers aren't. I mean, there's a couple spots where there's a lot of laser beam statues or whatever, but
I was expecting more of the wizards that shoot the
whiz robes,
Wiz robes,
yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like you said, it is a key because we just got to an area that has a flamethrower and you can't get past there. at least not that I know of, without having that shield.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that shield up, boom, you put it on there and reflect all of the fire. And now we're on level 8 or
Nice.
shrine 8.
Turtle Rock.
And
Turtle
you know,
Rock.
I saw some people in your chat, Lobos, that really didn't like this level, but I thought it was pleasantly nice.
I
was
really
like,
like
hey,
the
this is cool.
The kind of mechanic that's unique to this dungeon is there's I don't even know what it is. It looks like a little. It's kind of okay. It's a square Roomba, we'll call it, and you walk into
Alamaxia,
it.
do you know what it is with the new graphics? Could you tell what it was?
It just looked like a little platform, just like a little moving platform.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you just walk into it and you push it, and from whatever direction you push it, it starts just going across the lava, and you can control it while it's moving with the D-pad, and you can create a bridge along that path that you draw to wherever you want to or need to go. And in a couple places, you have to fill up all the open lava space to solve a puzzle and get a key or whatever.
Yeah, and we're going to find out. I just picked up the fragment of the stone slab that'll allow me to read this, and it tells you, oh, basically you can move it. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So now that you know that, it's going to really open up the rest of this dungeon here.
I always, as a kid, saw this as a cake or like a cupcake or something. I mean,
It's kinda look like a cake. Now, if your eyes are keen, you might have seen me go to the seashell
mansion.
mansion.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, and I now had, I think you need 21 seashells in the Game Boy to get the level 2 sword. I guess this is the master sword, because when you're full health, you can shoot the laser beams or whatever that is. And I think there's 26 seashells total in the game, so you don't need all of them to get the upgraded stuff.
And
There
I
are way more in the Switch.
oh, really?
I think there's over 50.
Oh,
There's,
wow.
I think it's 50 in the Switch. And I ended up not getting any upgraded sword for the game.
Okay. When you get enough, though, you get a thing that will do a little ping. It's like a tuning fork, and when there's a seashell around, the tuning fork will go off. So
Yeah.
it's kind of handy to be like, oh, okay, maybe I need to dig around here or smack into a tree with my Pegasus boots to get a seashell to come out. But the very last item we are actually going for here, again, it's criminally underused, but it is
It's
a
amazing.
wand.
The magic
Yeah,
rod.
It's a magic rod, yeah.
Mhm.
And so we're gonna get to it, but first there's this little mini boss here that's got he's got some dukes he's gonna put up.
Little
right?
Mac. Actually, what's his official name, Alamaxia? Do you know?
Blano.
Blano.
That doesn't
All right.
make any sense. I like Little Mac better.
Blano.
Well, the way I killed him is I just use my swirling attack,
Mhm.
or I don't know what you call it, thing
Yeah,
where you
spin
charge
attack,
up and
yeah.
spin around.
Apparently,
then,
Blano
of
comes
course-
from Oracle of Seasons. It's a character in there.
Whoa, nice.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll see him in the future. then.
Maybe so.
But before we can get to my prize, I had to go back to near the beginning of the dungeon, open up a little secret passage, and there's one of those little orbs that will bring down the barriers. And now I got the magic rod.
Yeah.
This is a cool thing because there's these little ice things around here. And at first you're just shooting the ice because it's blocking your path, no big deal. But then you get on to having to form the ice, like form little stair steps with the ice there.
Yeah.
And so you have to look at the ice and be like, all right, how do I make sure I don't kill the ice I need to step on, and then only hit the ice that I don't need. So that was a nice little puzzle there, but only used once or twice in the whole game.
But they can be a bit difficult. I think the second time you have to do that, the one that we're seeing right here, this one was a bit more difficult to solve.
Yep. Because you have to go underneath. You have to go from the underneath and shoot up as opposed to shooting horizontal. And this one, I honestly don't know how to beat this boss because I just spam my
That's how you beat it.
my wand. That's how you beat
Yeah.
I literally stopped looking at the screen and was just staring at my chat while I was just mashing the button, and it works because he
So, I don't even know what this is.
That's all
It's
you do.
done.
This is hothead.
All right.
The magic rod is amazing though, because like in the area there's these kind of big bat demons that will shoot fireballs at you, and they eventually swoop at you, and you have to kind of wait, or you can shoot them with arrows. And they're annoying, but now you just walk in the room, hit them with the magic rod, and they insta die, and that's it. So
Same mechanic as from Zelda 1. The red bats that you would kill and they'd split into two. If you hit them with a magic wand, they don't split.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Well, I think we had a midweek moment once. And I think you called this one out specifically as being impactful for you.
Incredibly
impactful. You
impactful.
Want to talk about?
Yep.
Yeah, go for it.
As a kid, it's just this opened my mind to both video games and music in such a unique way. But you're collecting these instruments the whole time, and I didn't really realize it or think about it until the very end here, where it's like, go play the song in front of the windfish, and you do the ocarina, and you play it, and it's just the song, just your ocarina on its own. But then all the instruments come out in a circle, and you play this huge ballad involving all the instruments, and I was just bewildered that I don't know that was a thing, and yeah, the very nostalgic video game moment for me.
Yeah, you start to hear all the instruments, like how they came together. You heard them individually as you pick them up, but then you hear them symphonically, and you can listen to that and pick out each individual, instrument in that now.
Yeah, which is amazing for a system that has 4 sound channels. One which is percussion, and you just got, yeah, fantastic work. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go into the egg, you will be lost without the passage that the Dark Secrets or Dark Mystery book gives you. I think there's actually a couple different valid routes there. Like maybe it's one of these things where when you start the game,
right,
it chooses a route for you. And so the route that I got was just 4 rights and 4 ups. But Lobos, I know you had a more complicated one.
Oh yeah, mine was like left up, right up, left up, right up, and that was it.
Yeah. It was,
so they're easy enough to remember. I think they make them easy to remember so that when you die to the boss, you have to do it again.
I see.
So they're not too complicated, but you do need to know which one you're dealing with.
So we're at the final boss. I'll start out with just saying I felt like this is kind of like a hodgepodge of all the previously bosses you fought in some way. Like they all kind of have mechanics there. But who wants to walk us through this really epic final battle?
This is Nightmare. This is what's been plaguing the Windfish, really. And Nightmare does not want you to wake up the Windfish, because in doing so, it will end existence there, is what you have learned. So he is fighting for his existence, and you're fighting to, get back to your time. And we first fight him, a big blob. You gotta splash some magic powder on him. And then he transforms into a different Nightmare. And this one really resembles Aghanim from Link to the Past. And we're going to fight him. You do have to hit the energy balls back at him. And some of the balls are going to be like the blue balls, which they'll hit and split. You can't really hit those back. And then after this, I think he turns into a Moldorm. Yeah, Moldorm, which Moldorms aren't that bad whenever you don't have, a hole that you can fall down into and have to redo the boss fight.
Yeah, or 6 other phases of the boss. So.
Yeah. But the next phase of this, 5 or 6 phase boss is Ganon.
Yep.
And it's basically from the Link to the Past. Same type of mechanics. He'll throw his staff at you, he'll teleport around the room, make some fire bats, and the only way you can damage him is spin to win.
Yeah,
you got to spin around and hit him. And then the Nightmare just is like, oh no, I'm done with you, Link, and it just chases you, beelines you, and you have to be fast and try to hit him as quick as you can. And then it turns into the final form, which actually does have a name called Deathel.
Deathel?
Deathel. D-E-T-H-L.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, Deathel. And he just has these big swingy arms that goes just around in a circle a whole bunch, and then his eyeball will open very similar to a Goma. And if you make that relation, eyeball, Goma, you just shoot him in the eye a whole bunch of times with your arrow, and he eventually, it eventually dies.
Yeah, and like all the other fights we've had here, when you first come here, it's difficult because each of the phases you kind of have to just try out different things, right? So once you know the trick, it's like, okay, now it's just execution. It's pretty easy. But yeah, I think the first time I was on it, I had to learn all of them, and I died the first time.
Did any of you gents find the boomerang?
I did.
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
The boomerang actually one-shots his final phase.
What?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I wanted to keep my shovel, so I did
Right,
not
right.
I did not give it up. But after that, you head up into, it kind of looks like a place from Kirby's Dream Land, honestly. Like this little crystal pillar, a big stairway up there, and you're in there, and there's kind of stars twinkling away, and your owl is basically giving you the rundown of what happened and what's going to happen, and then basically just saying, "Good job, thanks for your work, thief."
Yep.
I mean, SMG. Darn it.
Guardian of the Windfish.
And that's it.
He blips out and says, "The Windfish will be here soon."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the
And
windfish is
this part is
wow.
Yeah.
Just first off, whales aren't fish; they're mammals.
Wow. Well, this isn't a whale, okay? It's a windfish. He's got
Wow.
wings. Does
My
that mean he's a
experience has
bird?
been ruined.
It's a windfish.
They're like little angel wings, right?
Yeah.
And he's got
Little tiny.
jewels
Yeah, kinda.
encrusted on him.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a really cool
probably the
creature.
most beautiful windfish I've ever seen.
The most windfish ever. But just to comment on the audio for this, when I was a kid, especially, like it's so out there when he warps in and it's like, and then his elephant sounding just kind of thing is like really, really mystical, especially in this kind of environment. But yeah. And he just explains to you how he's going to wake up and everything that you know of this game is going to disappear. And
And it's so sad.
it's so sad. And man, with the nostalgia and the music and the story, man, this one makes me tear up every time I play it. And you play the Song of the Windfish again, and you see all the locations, all the people, and everybody just disappears. The whole
fade
island
away.
disappears. And then Link wakes up after having been trapped in this realm, and he's just in the rubble of his ship, kind of floating on a log, and he's like, "Oh,
It appears we have awakened Link.
awakened Link." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of had two games in a row where we had kind of bummer endings, like Fallout and then this one, right? So maybe we need to pick a happier ending for the next one.
So this is kind of a bummer ending, but the way I see this game is Link was not in the Windfish's dream. This was all Link's dream.
Right.
All of it.
Yeah.
And, it's him, just on this dream adventure, and he wakes up and he's okay. He finds himself still alive, and he's able to get back to Hyrule.
He's okay, but what about Marin and Taryn? No, yeah, it's cool. But then at the end, Link looks up and he sees the windfish fly over as the music's kind of crescendoing, and then that's the end that we see there. As it plays
And
itself.
there's a seagull, because Marin said that if she ever got out of here, that she would want to turn into a seagull and fly away, return to a bird. And well, we see that.
She got her wish.
Yeah, and if you beat the game without dying, it actually shows Marin, and she fades out, and then it shows a bird fly away.
Aw.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh my, that's cool. Well, nice little Easter egg there, or challenge.
But I know
ability there.
I don't think I've ever beat the game without dying, because I always steal and get killed by the
yeah, what I was gonna
shopkeep.
say.
I didn't know that existed.
And one last thing about this game, we've talked about, the audio quite a bit. The little cutscene graphics in this, I think, are incredible. The little detail that they put in, and just that added bit to the story that we don't really get in Zelda games until Ocarina of Time again. It's really nice to see the characters outside of just this little 8-bit sprite.
Yeah, very true. And in the remake, they do a whole anime thing. Like,
Oh,
This is
really?
cool. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
yeah,
And so this kind of cuts to some credits here. There's some weird stuff. I don't know if it was, it's how they're programming it, because when you watch these credits, they're doing like this weird like flickering thing, but it makes it look like the developers' names are kind of like dreamlike or whatever.
I see.
But the way either the capture card or something I don't know. So you have this weird like the letters are going back and forth. So it looks much better in
yeah, that's really hard to read.
The actual it looks better when you're actually playing it. So just wanted to call that out. Well, gentlemen, that was 2002 right there.
Wow.
That's going to wrap up our Saturday morning gaming coverage for the year. And, I look at the list of games we covered, and man, what a bunch of great games and memorable things. We started out with Morrowind, and we ended up with A Link's Awakening. Like, I don't know how you can get any better than that, but we'll try.
Well,
of course, we did have...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, of course, we did have our Patreon support screen here. And just, before the buzzer, we got one new Patreon this week. Andy the Worm kind of squeaked in right before the episode was rendering.
Nice.
So, Andy the Worm, thank you so much for your support heading into 2023, where we got a bunch of great games lined up to play.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list already. I'm like, rubbing my hands. Yeah. This is going to be good.
Yeah, we've already had so many prime examples of great games. What are we going to add to that list?
Well, you know what? It's the year 20,000.
20,023.
20,000 years.
Did you know
in the year
2023 is a prime number?
We will still be recording.
Actually, is it a prime number? I know 23 is a prime number. Is 2023
it should be,
a prime
right?
number?
It should be.
It should be. I think that's how that works. Okay, Lobos, are you having any fancy meat cuts for dinner for the holidays? Maybe like some rib that is...
What? Rib?
Like prime rib? Just prime rib.
Okay, you're going with the prime
give me
more.
a prime
I was like
mutton.
prime
mutton. Thank
prime
you.
Mutton.
Lobos is having prime mutton. So now that we all have these prime examples, we're going to check out Metroid Prime for 2023. January. That's going to be pretty cool, right? That's one that I played about halfway and then stopped.
Same for me, honestly. I don't know if it was halfway, but it was like
Nice.
a good chunk, and then I didn't complete it. So, yeah, I look forward to that.
Well, you will now.
I think I've been telling this group for 2 years we need to play it. So the fact that we're finally getting to is I'm happy. I'm happy.
Well, we got pretty close to when we could play, because it became eligible in 2022, because it was released in 2002. So we're pretty close there. So yeah, very excited about that. I'm doing that on the GameCube. I don't know if it was released anywhere else ever.
It was re-released on the Wii because
right?
they had like a trilogy anniversary edition where you could even play with the Wii controls, which I actually really liked.
I like the Wii controls with the nunchuck, and that was really fun.
Well, folks, that's going to wrap up this episode of Link's Awakening and, of course, 2022. So I wanted to give a special shout out, to everyone for making this year fantastic. Special shout out to my friends here, Alamaxia, Lobos. You guys really make this show special, memorable, exciting. A lot of good commentary. So thank you so much for taking time to chat with me, chat with each other about this, play the games, and kind of everything you've helped build up this whole podcast and show. Like, really special thanks to you guys for all the work you've done.
It's a lot of fun. The pleasure's all mine.
Another year in the books, and
another year in the books.
Thanks for organizing
and then, of course,
it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also wanted to give a special shout out here to Shane as Games, my co-host of the Retro Oddities podcast/show, where we check out some kind of weirder titles that are retro. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but they're all really weird and have some fun, interesting things. So,
nice.
If you like old, weird games, you might want to give that a listen. Give Shane as Games a follow as well. But yeah, Shane, if you're listening, if you're out there, thank you for your contributions to the show in 2022. So sadly, we have reached the end credits of this episode. And again, all you, the fans, the watchers, the listeners, we wanted to thank you for engaging with us and contributing your passion and excitement to the podcast or YouTube show.
And be sure to listen to us, give us a like, give us a follow on YouTube, Spotify, Google, wherever you would like to listen to us. And we do have our Discord, so feel free to join the Discord and chat with us.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Saturday M Gaming. Yes, at Saturday M Gaming.
Yeah.
Or if you'd like to send us some feedback or suggestions, you can email us SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com.
And of course, we wanted to give a special shout out to TechnoAxe for much of the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in January with Metroid Prime on the GameCube.
Happy holidays!